So today we're here to talk about how to avoid burnout in a world that never stops. I'm Serena. I'm the author of the Serenity Reset and the Serenity Kitchen, which is a book based on nourishing the nervous system through diet and food. It's more to do with adding things to your diet than taking it away. And both books are available at the back there. You may have seen me in That's Life magazine on BBC One's Escape to the Country. I know. I'm the BBC, Business Wales poster girl at the moment for being an entrepreneur. And I will be on the cover of Om Yoga and Lifestyle magazine on the 1st of July. And there'll be a 3-page spread about me and my book on there. And as you can see, there's Sarah Davis and Sarah Willingham. These are two of the dragons from Dragon's Den. And they found with their copies of my book. Do I put it at that there? I think I put it over there. I've been on various podcasts. I've even been on an episode of True North last month with Anne Dawson, just talking about my book. And there's Jessica Cunningham, there's Lee McQueen. They both were contestants on The Apprentice. Lee runs a multi-million-pound business now, and so does Jessica in belief coding. You might have seen her on Celebrity Big Brother as well. And when I'm talking about the nervous system, a huge part of that is breath work. And I've been lucky enough to train in the East, in India, but also with some of the world's renowned people like Wim Hof and Stig Stevenson, the world record holder for holding his breath for 22 minutes, but also 22 minutes. Can you imagine? I can do 2 with a massive sort of desperate gasp at the end, but 22 minutes. And he holds many records for free diving, and he is the owner of Breathology, as Wim is the Wim Hof method. Crazy man, but he's lovely. So today, what do? I work with people that feel overwhelmed. They have symptoms of stress, and they want to reverse those before they get to burnout. I go into companies, and I give corporate days where I can suggest to employees how to be happier within their work, reduce stress load, enforce proper boundaries, and nurture their nervous system so as to avoid stress and become more productive as a result. Work harder. Work smarter, not harder, isn't it? And I also do online programs for people that want to recover from things like fibromyalgia, burnout. I do retreats out in the Carmarthenshire countryside, July 24-26 this year, if you're interested. And I also have them in January, the Winter Waters. And what's important about a retreat is, let's face it, we all want 3 days where we're pampered, looked after, and we have space to actually find our inner strength again. Maybe reduce our limiting beliefs. We would. It's nice, right? Be perfect. Now, we live in a world that is praised for how much we can handle. I'm sure we've all been in that situation where people are like, oh, you do so much. Oh, you get everything done. How wonderful. And there's even a saying, isn't there? If you want something done, ask a busy person, right? And guess what? I was that busy person. I wanted that reliable badge. I wanted to be seen as capable, to be seen as strong. And I wore my exhaustion like a badge of honor. Now today you might see me here quite confident, calm, grounded. I hope so. But it wasn't always the case. Just 3 years ago, I could hardly cope. Life was very hard, and I'd like to take you back there because I used to be a teacher, and I worked with children in various schools, and I was a teacher. But when I had holiday time, I would volunteer. There I am with Impact Teachers in India, teaching young Indian girls how to be teachers for their communities. In Costa Rica, helping young children in the Costa district. I was out there with, if you've heard of the Peace Corps, out in Bahrain with an NGO, working with deaf children, and deaf adults, actually. And out in Thailand, I spent well over a year in Thailand after the tsunami. But all this time, I was working as a teacher as well. And then I became a mother. Ta-da! Exhibit A. I became a mother to Roman, and I became a foster carer. And up to this day, I've had 22 beautiful children in my care. I saw exhaustion as just adulting, right? All adults are stressed. It's part of life. And success equaled exhaustion almost. I mean, it's what we're taught, isn't it? We're taught to push through. We're taught to keep going. We're taught to never let anybody down. Keep calm and carry on, as they used to say. But we're applauded almost for how much damage we can do to our body, how unbalanced our lives can be, how remarkably dedicated we are to ruining our own bodies by overwork. We get applauded for that, but let me tell you, there is no badge for being the most exhausted, and there is no trophy for walking yourself into an early grave. But what I came to realize is it's not just your adult stresses, it's also what comes before that. If you go all the way back to childhood, your nervous system learnt to be on guard, to be in alert mode, to search for danger from the moment it was born, because that's what nervous systems do. And every instability, every time a child moves house, changes carer, from carer to school to after-school care, it produces a type of anxiety, a type of insecurity over not knowing what's happening next, which can cause fear, which leads to a heightened alert state, and that leads to that over-hypervigilant state where your nervous system is always in what is known as fight and flight, where you're ready to run or fight. And this is when you're in that hypervigilant state, which none of us want to be in. And my childhood, I moved house many times. I went to 8 primary schools. We were always, I grew up in Women's Aid Institute after Women's Aid Institute, evading a violent father. So my nervous system felt I was on the run. And I never quite recovered from that. Always running that program of needing to be more. My body learned to stay alert, scan for danger, prepare, be useful, be helpful, be high achieving, be needed, because then I wouldn't have to move on. Then I'd feel safe. I'm back there. But I overworked myself. Long hours at work. COVID happened. And as a teacher, we had to be online. We had to be in the classroom. So I'm preparing 2 lots of different lessons at the same time. I had a baby that was born just a few months earlier and had to take him with me to school because there was no childcare for him, but I was needed. And again, the woman that was supposed to be taking my maternity leave had someone very close to her die and didn't come back. And instead of saying no, having a boundary and saying, no, of course I can't come back. I literally have a 5-week-old baby. No, of course I said yes, because that's what society applauds. But eventually, the woman who could handle everything couldn't. I ended up in hospital. With burnout? No. Burnout had been happening for the last 3 years. My throat had stopped working because of the high breathing patterns. When you breathe high into your shallow breathing pattern, your neck muscles begin to really take their toll. And I was unable to speak for about 8 months. When I went to hospital, my stomach, the pain in my stomach was so severe that I couldn't even walk. I had to be carried into the hospital and wheeled up into the wards. I was in a wheelchair. The exhaustion was so huge, I found it hard to sit up. The exhaustion, you can't even think straight when you're that exhausted. I'd not listened to the warnings of my body, and now I was suffering the consequences. Brain fog is exactly that. If you imagine you're driving along up in the hills and you've driven so that the fog is so much, you can't even see the lines on the road. That's what it's like. You cannot even see 2 feet in front of you. You don't know where you've put anything. Everything is a bit of a fog. And the pain that comes is unbelievable. Every joint, every muscle, every bone feels like it's being eaten alive. I was in the worst state, and I really thought maybe I was going to die. And I had a little baby at home. I had a husband, and I've had lots of responsibilities, which made me even more anxious. I was completely overwhelmed. And I think a lot of people are overwhelmed as well in this world. We all live in survival mode, and I remember thinking to myself, there must be more than just surviving, work, survive, work, survive. There must be something more. But most of us are sort of on this hamster wheel where we are in survival mode, and we don't even realize it. But what I began to realize was my body wasn't attacking me. It was actually protecting me. By incapacitating me to the point that I could not move, I had to rest. And when you have to rest, realizations start to come about. My doctors told me I wasn't going to work for a very long time. I was under scan after lots of things. They thought I had MS to start with. Turned out it was fibromyalgia. And I was told there was no cure for that. And they're right in a way, because they can't just give you a tablet to sort that out. But of course, a nervous system that felt that unsafe, so that the fight and flight has put you into, worse than that, the dorsal vagal system has gone fight, flight, freeze. It's put you in freeze. If you can make that system feel safe again, you can come out of that and recover. A safe nervous system is going to make you feel again. Just yourself again, not anything else. My body was protecting me. The nervous system, and stepping back, having that time off work, I suddenly realized my body had stopped and took me off that hamster wheel. I was now able to see the situation for what it was and understand that I would never want to get myself in that situation ever again. The nervous system has one job, and that is, am I safe? It's constantly scanning. Every sound you hear, every noise, every sight, every smell is informing, goes straight into your nervous system, up to the command center in your brain, and says, you're safe, or get out of Dodge. You're safe, parasympathetic nervous system, normal breathing. Not safe, the adrenaline rises, the norepinephrine increases, all the stress hormones go up, cortisol floods the body. And you're ready for danger. You are ready to fight, you are ready to run. But what comes with that is irregular breathing patterns, hormone irregulations, sleep issues, stomach issues, which I can really attest to, and pain. We don't want to get there, okay? This is a very sad story, so let's brighten things up a little bit. The why. So why does this happen? Our body is millennia year old. Sometimes I actually feel that my body is millennia years old, but our bodies were created a long time ago. We're not iPhones. We haven't got updates every year. We're not on body i17. We are the original version of ourselves. And the nervous system is very, very ancient. And it was built to respond to a direct threat, like a tiger, like a storm, like a volcano. And when that passed, the adrenaline would come down, the cortisol would come down, and we'd be back into a beautiful spot of the parasympathetic nervous system, where we foraged for berries. Doesn't that sound lovely? Foraging for berries, and sat in nature. And even now, when you think about it, this lady on the left is an ancient model of the one on the right. Even now, when we sit in nature, we take a holiday, we go to the beach, we sit on the beach, we get in the sun, Takes a few days for the nervous system to start to calm down, but eventually we start to feel like ourselves again. But that's impossible in this world that never stops. There are text messages dinging constantly, ding, 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 demanding your attention. The news, bad news. Your subconscious doesn't understand that this isn't really happening to you. When you watch a horror movie, your heartbeat races exactly as if you really were being chased. Your breathing rate goes up. Your cortisol goes up. And we never have the opportunity to let it come down again. And the result of that, with all the financial pressures or the constant demands on our attention, 24-hour being bugged, because they can get us with their emails and their text messages at any time. And let's face it, many of us don't have those boundaries and open those messages at 10 o'clock at night. But technology advanced faster than humanity did. Our physiology is rooted millennia ago, and we've created a world that our nervous systems are still trying to catch up with today. The cortisol that floods our body was never designed to do that for long periods. And by doing it for long periods, we are the creators of our own demise. Diseases like diabetes and heart disease, cardiovascular diseases, stroke, all going up. Stress is the #1 killer now. And that is because we have a little spaceman driving our caveman body. This newcomer came along called the prefrontal cortex, 0.2% of our body, 0.2%. And yet the little monkey, like a perpetuous child, he wants to build, he wants to create, he wants to innovate with absolutely no regard to the other 99.8% of the body. 99.8% of the body, the nervous system, the circulatory system, the respiratory system, the lymphatic system, the glymphatic system. All of those cannot cope with the overwhelm, the constant stimulation that the prefrontal cortex has developed and likes to put us in front of. But burnout rarely arrives quickly and overnight. Gently, it arrives with a whisper. The very first signals are usually maybe not getting to sleep as easily as you used to. Maybe it's your jaw aching, tight shoulders, breathing high up in your chest. Maybe you feel a little bit more irritable. Maybe you need more alone time, and maybe you procrastinate a bit more. If that sounds like you, any of those, it's not particularly alarming. It's just information that you can use now to be aware. Because when we're aware, we can prevent. If anyone wants the whole list of things from if we don't listen to the whisper, the nervous system gets louder and louder and louder until the symptoms I described earlier become, okay. And when those symptoms become worse and worse and worse, yes, it's because the body is screaming, listen to me. And when it finally screams and says, that's it, you're out, I'm going to incapacitate you, don't think of that as something negative. Your body has just saved you from something far worse. Stress is the #1 killer. But we don't want to get there. Just remember to ignore the signs at your own peril, because the nervous system does keep the score. Every late night, every early morning, every 9th cup of coffee, you know who you are. Every meal you skipped, every lunch break you work through, every email you answer at 10 o'clock at night, every person you please that you didn't even like and should be doing the job anyway themselves, every time you push through. The nervous system keeps the score. Because all its entire job is to keep you safe. And the brain will scan for threats, constantly scanning for threats. And even sitting here still, right now, we can just check if you have got a few of the earlier symptoms of burnout. I want you to just Sit up and have a look at me for a second. And as you inhale, exhale, drop your shoulders. Oh my God, yours came down about 3 foot. Did you feel your shoulders come down? You did, didn't you? Did you feel that coming down? Holding that tension in the shoulders, if you think about it, getting ready to fight, yeah? What about your jaw? Take a moment, just close your eyes a second and just release the teeth. Release the kraken. Just allow the teeth to part. Were you clenching your teeth? Take the tongue away from the roof of your mouth. Oh, how did I know it was there? Something for you to be aware of, right? Information. Information is knowledge. Knowledge can be power. Breathing shallowly. Let's take our left hand to our belly and our right hand to our clavicular area. Thank you. You're good sports. And just notice where you're breathing. What moves? Does your right hand move or your left hand? Just notice. Take a few breaths. Now, a healthy nervous system that's in its parasympathetic, so it's in its rest and digest, will breathe to the belly. If you feel your chest or your clavicular moving, just have a look at what this looks like to you. You're breathing into your chest. Only injured animals or terrified people breathe into their clavicular area. So what's that telling your nervous system? Your body's actions are communicating to the vagus nerve, to your nervous system, that there is a problem, that it is going down, yeah? And if stuff is going down, you're going to have that adrenaline rush, that cortisol rush. And if you've already got a perpetual amount of that in your body, you're just increasing it. You're going to be lining up, especially diabetes is a big one, all right? Because insulin is going to fight the cortisol within your body to try and reduce those levels, and then the insulin becomes less and less effective because you're using so much of it. It becomes immune to its charms. So there's some information that should help you through. So I'm going to give you a little tactic, and then I'll explain why it works. A really good way to lower the response and to just allow yourself to come back into that parasympathetic nervous response, rest or digest, is just to feel your feet on the floor. So I invite you now, really feel your feet grounded into the earth beneath you. Feel the weight of your body in your feet as the earth supports you. And then feel your sitting bones supported on the chair, the seat giving you stability. And then feel the chair on your back. You are supported. You are safe. And notice the calm feeling that comes through the body. Why? Because your senses are hacked straight into our nervous system. When we see something, a sudden movement, a funny smell, a chemical, a burn, something we feel when it's too cold, the rain, this alerts our nervous system immediately that something is wrong. And so we can reverse the effects by using our senses too. I'll show you another one. Just have a look around the room and look for something inoffensive, something that will not cause fear. So just have a look and let your eyes settle on something that is very safe. And now look at its texture. Look at the size of it. Look at the color. And notice how your focus comes in and the calmness increases. Another one of the best ways to get into the parasympathetic nervous system is through our breath. Because our breath we can control, and our breath controls our heart rate, and our breath and our heart rate controls all sorts of things, okay, like blood pressure. So we can really there's the little green thing, that little green thing, that's the vagus nerve. And he's very happy there because he is saying, if you breathe calmly, I can make you feel better to the brain. So we're going to communicate to the vagus nerve that we are okay, because the longer we exhale, the slower our heart will become. It's called respiratory sinus arrhythmia. As you exhale, your heart rate gets slower. As you inhale, your heart rate gets a little quicker. So when you exhale, it's signaling to the vagus nerve that all is okay, and it goes up and it tells the brain, we are safe. So we're going to exhale for longer than we inhale. We're going to do that together, and we're going to just use it as information. So we're going to inhale for exhale for twice as long as we inhale. So we're going to start with 3 and 6, but we should be able to do 4 and 8. If you can't do 4 and 8, that's information for you. So we're going to exhale together to start together. You don't have to be as loud as me, I'm just letting you know. Inhale for 3, through the nose. 2, into the belly, remember. 1, exhale for 6. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In for 3, 2, 1. Out for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. We're moving to 4. In for 4, 3, 2, 1. Out for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In for 4, 3, soften through the belly, and exhale for 8, letting your shoulders drop. The sitting bones, feel them sink into the chair beneath you. 7, 8. Inhale, feeling the belly rise, trying to keep that upper chest still, and exhale away. And we've got another 5 as we let the shoulders sink down, the feet root into the floor. Inhale for 4. Feel the belly soften, the lower back expand, and exhale away for as long, 8 count. 4, 3, 2, 1. Just notice the quality of your breath. As your heart has slowed, the nervous system calms, and the brain decides it is far happier than it was before. And that was my first light bulb moment. Safety equals recovery. And I went on to gather more little light bulbs of inspiration as I went along. Yes, you need to breathe differently, but you also need to rest without guilt. It's okay going for a rest, but if you're going to lie there going, oh, I should be doing this and the washing up and I haven't put the washing on, and then you're not going to. That anxiety is going to raise the cortisol. It's not going to get rid of it. So you need to rest without guilt. Rethink what rest is. It is actively resting. You are doing something. Resting is a thing. It really is. It's a thing that you can do. It has a word, resting. It's an adjective, right? You do. It's a verb, sorry. A verb is a word. It's an action word. Ing is on the end. Resting. Learning boundaries. Turning the phone off. Turning the work email off at 10 o'clock. Saying no. It's not such a hard word. It's 2 letters, right? And yet so difficult to say at times. And yet you say no to yourself constantly. It's time to look at your nervous system as that little inner child that people go on about. Nurture it, love it, and protect it by saying no. Understanding your trauma. Yes, I understand my trauma, but if I keep talking about it, I'm just reliving it, getting stressed out every time I talk about it. You've got to it's not talking about your trauma that's going to help. It's getting your trauma and saying, right, here's my pattern. How do I break it? Because I do not want to do this over and over again till the day I die. Slowing down. Another light bulb. Guess what? Multitaskers doesn't work. It just stresses you out, doing all these things one at a time. Gets them done in probably quicker because you've got full focus. And guess what? Far less anxiety. Nourishing my body properly. Your body is millennia old and it needs fuel, and it needs good fuel. Sorry, eating crap. If you eat crap and your body needs more minerals, all that's going to happen is your body's going to keep asking for more food because it hasn't got the right minerals that it needs to work. So you eat more junk food, but your body's not sated because it needs minerals, so it asks for more food. We have got an epidemic of really overweight, malnourished people. It's crazy. People dying of malnourishment, and yet they're 20 stone? How is that possible? The other side, starving yourself. Oh, I am going to fast. Fasting can help a healthy nervous system. But if you have cortisol in your body and your glucose is not constant, this is your artery, by the way, and this is the glucose in the artery. If it's not constant and it keeps spiking or dropping, how does that make the nervous system feel? Frightened. It thinks a famine is happening. It's the end of the world. It holds on to everything. Cortisol plus holding on to fat equals visceral fat, fat around your organs, the type that kills. You get your subcutaneous fat, the fat around over your muscles, big deal. You're just cuddly, aren't you? It's lovely. But fat around your visceral organs, that will kill you. Gentle movement. Okay, so, right, I feel really, I need to get some exercise. I'm going to go for a run. Run. Okay, fight or flight. It does what it says on the tin. You go flighting and go for a run, so raising the adrenaline. It's raising the cortisol, and your body is going to be flooded with the very thing you're trying to get rid of. Gentle movement. Movement that feels safe. Movement that you can build upon. Small movements like yin yoga, where you lie on the floor with bolsters holding positions. And gently, gently moving when you feel safe in that movement and it makes you feel good, your body will go, okay, you can do that. I'll let you do a little bit more then. And slowly that boundary of what you can do increases. Stillness. Very hard to remain still. Especially when your mind is going at 1,000 miles an hour, which is why mindfulness or meditation can really work. And I don't mean sitting with your legs in lotus saying Om. It could just be knitting. Taking your mind completely out of the past or the future, because when you think about the past, there's nothing, generally we dwell on the bad bits and end up with depression. We start dwelling on the future, we don't know, it's anxiety causing. We end up with anxiety. So we try to make the mind still and connection. If we don't have support, if we don't feel supported, the adrenaline goes up. There are more people that die from loneliness now than smoking. I just let that land. More people die of loneliness than smoking. And connection isn't just with one another. Let's face it, when we were created, we would live in little packs of humans, and one of them would stay awake all night by the fire, take it in turns, keep us safe. Having people around us is our natural environment, and it is a natural calmer. If you're finding it difficult to connect, just one text to one person that you really like and you know won't expect a lot from you. But it's not just a connection with people, it's connection with the planet. Getting into nature, our environment, and telling that 0.2%, hey, time to give 99.8% a little bit of me time. So these light bulbs I gathered until I had this whole arsenal of light bulbs. And now I use those light bulbs not only to light my own way, but to help people find theirs. And that's why I wrote the Serenity Reset. Ta-da! A book that covers all the light bulbs and strategies and ways to help reduce that stress load. And the Serenity Kitchen, which is all about nourishing the nervous system And it's not about starving yourself or changing your diet completely. It's really about adding bits, keeping the glucose level constant. And there's some great tips in there. We're not machines. We were not built for continuous output day after day after day without consequence. Start thinking of yourself as human. A human being. To be. Not to do. We're not human doings. Human beings. And sometimes it takes courage, but the courage is in stopping. And if there's one thing I want you to remember today is that your body's not betraying you. Maybe it's simply been protecting you for a long time. And that is something to be grateful for. It's time to stop hating our bodies and love our bodies and stop asking, what's wrong with me? And start asking, what does my nervous system need today? What does my nervous system need to feel safe? I mean, how often do we give ourselves the environment, the safety, the support needed for that version of us to emerge? Sometimes, and that is why I hold retreats. I do have leaflets about them at the back, if anyone would like to take one. And I also do have leaflets on the yin yoga and the yoga nidra, the breathing workshops that I do that you can join online. Because there is light at the tunnel. There is light at the end of the tunnel. It's not in the tunnel, but it's at the end, right? And at the end of the tunnel, and I know this because I found it. I went through it and I'm in the light. And for those of you that haven't quite got there yet, I have a whole load of light bulbs that I'm willing to share. Thank you. The Serenity Reset, if you do want a copy, it's $12.99, and the other one is $14.99, so 13 and 15, and they are on Amazon, and I think in Richard Booths as well. Yeah, so feel free to come and get one if you would like one. Yes?
So what's your view on why modern Western medicine is forgetting about?
Okay, so the question is, why is modern Western medicine so kind of like ignorant to all of this? And that's because doctors are built to deal with the symptoms. So when a symptom is presented, so for example, I had a bad throat, I couldn't talk, so I went to ears, nose, and throat. They couldn't find anything wrong. So they sent me my stomach. They couldn't really find anything wrong with it. So they're like, nothing wrong, we can't really help you. How about some painkillers? Maybe antidepressants, because they're taught to work hand in hand with pharmaceutical companies and give you something to fix your ailment in a way that masks it, but it doesn't go holistically to the cause, the root of the problem. And that's why a lot of doctors are becoming extremely disillusioned with the whole thing. I work with a doctor called Ruth, what's Ruth's last name? And she is what they call a functional medicine doctor. So she was a doctor for quite a lot of years, and she got so fed up with having 10 minutes. Can you imagine being a doctor? Next, I have 10 minutes to find exactly what's wrong with you, right to the cause. So can we just right to the root? And then, well now it's 9 minutes, and 6 really, because then I've got 4 to try and work it. It's impossible. But if you come in with a symptom, they can look it up and go, oh yeah, 20 milligrams of, and that's what they're taught to do. And I know that for a fact because one of the ladies I work with is a functional medicine, and she was a GP for years before that. So, and I think it's very frustrating for doctors. I don't think it's their fault, it's just the system, the way we were brought up. In China, there is a much better method. In China, they will reward doctors for how many people do not come to the doctor, how many people they can keep healthy. In our country, in America, they get rewarded for how many pills they can give out because the pharmaceuticals make money. So we are a capitalist country. Make from that what you will. Any other questions?
just so shocked by that photograph from the hospital.
Yeah, it looked a little bit different, right?
Like 20 years older than you do now.
Yeah. I was 47 in that picture.
Okay.
I'm 51 this year. Yeah, crazy, right? Crazy. Looks like I've gone back to my 30s, doesn't it? Just say yes. Does, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah. From healthy diet, healthy living, yin yoga. I've built my strengths.
So, I was interested, your background.
Yes.
Interesting, the trauma in your background.
Yeah.
So do you think did you have a mindset that like you always had to be the best, you always had to succeed?
Yeah, exactly.
You pushed yourself.
Yeah.
Constantly.
And I've noticed that through, so in Thailand, after the tsunami, after the 2004 boxing tsunami, I looked after a lot of children that had lost their whole families and were completely separated, no idea where they were. And those children were far happier than any of the foster children that I look after now, right? And what I think the difference is that this was a one-off awful event, right? But they are living in the present, right? They live in the present. Like, oh yeah, well, let's go and play football, let's do this. They tend to live more in the present in Thailand. And the children that I have, they go to camps, they get counseling, they talk about their issues all the time, and it's constantly on their mind, and they're constantly living in the past. And they never escape it. And they keep rerunning those programs. And this is what happens. We need to break those programs. So I've studied NLP now, so I'm a master's of NLP. So on my retreats, I tend to use NLP to remove limiting beliefs. So we can get back to the original you. Bring out that confidence. We do lots of fun things, there's some Muay Thai, there's some aerial yoga, there's some, because obviously Wim Hof, if you want to try some ice bathing or cold plunging, there's steam room, there's, what's the other thing called? One of those things, hot tub. And it's just, we do the nidras, the conscious sleep sessions, qigong, the really gentle yogas, and then we do fun things to show you really can do stuff, like the self-defense. You can step up and you can have a boundary. Like, no, I'm not doing that. I don't want to do that. Great. Yeah, I'm going to have a go at, it's really important. Going back to your question, going back to does trauma, when you look at people that have chronic nervous system disorders like CFS, it always seems to be what they call an A personality that it wants to achieve to do really well. And there always seems to be some sort of traumatic event or persistent, persistent stress. Doesn't mean it will definitely happen though, because the brain perceives stress differently. So if a dog jumped on here now and grabbed my thing, I would go, oh, he's playing. Another person might scream and go, I'm being attacked by a dog. And yet it's the same external situation that's happened, but we deal with it differently internally. So our perception is extremely important, which is why if you can change your perception, you can break the program, you can break the pattern that you've been running on, because our brain is like a little computer. We've got that program in there, and it runs every time we do that, it runs again. And we break that pattern, introduce a new neuro-linguistic program in the head so that we run that program instead, and we can get out of that loop, make the nervous system feel safer. And once we feel safer, the symptoms start to melt away slowly. Yeah.
Can I ask another question?
Yeah.
So what about being an only child or the first child? Have you thought about that? Is that because I think that also has an impact on the way in which you're...
Programs run, yeah, of course they can. So being an only child, well, it has different effects, doesn't it? Because if you have 10 siblings, that might make you feel completely lost, or you might have siblings that look after you really well, and it creates a really good safety net around you. And it's the same with a single child. Maybe they've got two parents' attention all the time and feel completely safe, or maybe they really miss, it really depends on the perception of that child again. So it's the internal perception of something that is external that counts.
I'm just thinking about this need to perform. The need to perform.
Yeah.
There's so much intensity.
Yeah, there is. So as an only child, or sometimes we praise it, it comes from praise, and it comes from unwarranted praise. So if a child does something really mundane, and you're like, "Oh, that is amazing! Oh my God, you're the best thing! Oh my God, you're going to be famous when you're older! How amazing are you?" What you're doing is you're creating expectations in that child. That child now, when it does something, it's going to keep to what it knows. It's never going to experiment out of that, because if it gets something wrong, it doesn't want to disappoint you, right? So we have to praise the effort, not the result. So no matter how terrible the drawing is, it's like, do you know what I've loved about that? You sitting there, you working on that, you using every color and just not giving up, and reinforcing that not giving in too early, and doing something that they enjoy rather than reinforcing the result, because then you're always trying to achieve high but without too many risks. And people that don't take the risks then have this issue of not being able to get too high, because it takes a little bit of risk to get high. I know that from being a teacher for 20 years who had children that wouldn't attempt something in case they got it wrong. They wouldn't attempt a race because they might not win it. And it's really sad to see, and it comes from extremely loving parents that just want the best for their children, but what they haven't realized is they're reinforcing the fact that that the child wants to get that praise again and again and again, and to do that, it stays within the parameters it knows and never goes out of the comfort zone into that little zone around the comfort zone where growth happens. And then after growth is the fear. So with the nervous system, you want to come out of comfort gently, staying within the comfort, just easing on in that comfort zone. But you don't want to go into fear, because then your nervous system is going to react. So it's a balance, isn't it, when we're growing? We stay in the growth zone. Does that make sense? Is there any other questions?
How did you go from completely trying and then did you just stop and then find all this? Where did you start?
So I was in a car taking my foster daughter to Christmas with her dad, and I should have gone to hospital at that stage. And he had to drive, my husband had to drive because I couldn't, and I was in so much agony, and I took quite painkillers, and I dropped her off to see her parents, and then I was like, right, I'm going to have to go to hospital right now, and that was that. So, because I thought I was going to die, the pain, I've had a baby, nothing, that's nothing to what I was going through that day. And from there, to get well, rest, and guilt-free rest, because I didn't have to be at work, I didn't have to be anywhere, I was in hospital, and I was able to rest up enough to start thinking a little better. From my time in Thailand, I knew about yoga and breathing, so I started doing very gentle movement, breath work, grounding activities, because I'd used these with children for 20 years as a teacher, where they come in unregulated, and I regulate through grounding, through breath, and then we can work, doing movements. So I used what I already knew. And then because it was so effective and I had time, I was like, right, this is what I'm going to learn this. So lots of YouTube videos to start with, because I couldn't read, because my eyes wouldn't work enough to read, but I could listen. So it started with listening. Then I went on to audiobooks, reading my audiobooks, got into that. And then eventually, with the grounding, with the breathing, with good nutrition, I was able to start moving around, carried on with the yin yoga and studying. And then I studied, that went on for about a year. And then I went out to India to study for a whole month. And then I came back and started with doing the Western breathwork techniques. I am an advanced yoga instructor now, somatic worker, advanced meditation teacher, advanced NLP. I like the word advanced. So in some ways, I'm still trying to achieve, but things that I want to do, things that it's very different than being, I started off a lawyer. I started off a lawyer before I became a teacher. And always going out, always doing stuff. And it comes a lot from when you look back, and I've had to obviously break the program. But when you look back, and when I was a kid, it comes from my mother calling me selfish. And my dad going, well, come on, you can do better than that. So you have the two different, and me like, right, I'm not selfish. I'm going to prove that every day for the rest of my life until it kills me, literally. And no, I can do better than that. Of course I can. So what's the hardest thing you can do? I can remember at university thinking, what's the hardest thing I can do? Oh, I do law. What can I do? Law. I'll do law. Because it commands a respect, and it's difficult. So I thought that would get me in a good stead, I guess, like how he would view me. It's quite crazy, really, how our little minds work. And when we go back and figure that out, and we can break that pattern, we can free ourselves to do things that we have passion for and we enjoy, and we can make a living out of that instead. And remember that money is always replaceable, but time is not. Every second we have on this planet with our children is precious. Any other questions?